Hello and welcome to today's ABCNS webinar. For technical assistance, please phone Rebecca support on 1-800-733-416. If you'd like to listen to the webinar through your phone instead, the dialing number and passcode will be listed in the chat box. Today's webinar is Australian Wine Export to China, Emerging Challenges, Trends, Opportunities and Models, presented by Sarah Cheng and Michael Liu. To ask Sarah or Mike a question, please use the chat box which is located on the left-hand side of your screen, just to the right of the cogwheel. After typing out your question, hit enter to submit. Questions will be answered throughout the webinar. Without any further ado, I'll hand over to Mike to begin.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar today. So in today's webinar, we will cover emerging challenges, emerging trends, emerging models, and emerging opportunities. So here I would like to also introduce my colleague Sarah and Nick. They are here with me. So to start the webinar, we would like to share one of our one program participants' 300,000 story about how the participant conquered the issues he had during the export journey to China, and how we help, and also more importantly, what he has done to make a success story in terms of exporting wine to China. That's Henry's wine export journey to China story. So like initially, when Henry joined the program, he had a bit of challenges regarding like his limited resources and the limited knowledge about the wine industry in China. So after our assessment and of course after a deeper research about the market, a few solutions have been provided to Henry. So regarding leverage external resources, and of course more importantly, identify the right distributors in China who can sell Henry's wine in China through the existing sales network in China. So during Henry's 12-month export journey, the outcome is quite positive. So Henry has started shipping containers to China since 2017. And another very good news is Henry signed up with a solo distributorship with one of the biggest Chinese wine distributors in China back in this March. So.
So thank you, Mike, for that. This is really a good story. And I would like to share with you some key success factors of Henry's success in China. One is the commitment to China market. They did spend time researching the market, developing their pricing strategy, checking the preference of Chinese customers, and identifying their specific target market segment. They did not go to China as a wine journalist. They very peculiar and specific about which sector they were targeting and the pricing for that specific market segment. So definitely their commitment and market research helped them a lot along the journey.
Thank you, Sarah, for your insights. I think next we would like to share some very interesting facts about how Chinese consumers value Australian wines. So that's pretty interesting because that's very different from what Australian wines think about their wine valued in China. So what we do, we connect the fact and we would like to split it into different categories and that's how Chinese consumers perceive Australia's wines. We would start with a good taste. That's interesting terminology we use here. What does it mean by good taste? So it means from Chinese consumer's perspective, it means not so sweet, and it's very rich, and of course it's smoothie, and sometimes it may feel like it may taste a bit creamy as well. So they feel like this sort of taste means good to them. Yeah. And the next important factor is about a nice smell. That's really important because the moment they open the bottle of wine, they want to feel like this is a premium wine I buy from Australia, and I want to smell something really like smells nice. Nice means it's fresh, clean, and of course strong smell of the grapes as well, because that means is genuine and of course authentic wine produced by Australian wineries. First-class service is of course another important sector regarding the valuation. So it means the wineries coming to China is not just a show off once. For example, they're not just coming here to attend the trade show and never come back or never show off in another year. So they want to see the brand and they want to see the wineries, constantly in China market and committed to China market. So they feel the brand is trusted and it's worth of the price they pay for the premium wine. The next, I think, some of the wines might be aware, it's about the package. So of course, regarding Australia wine, most wines are purchased by Chinese consumers at a premium price. So they want to see the package and they want to see the label, even the design look premium and look prestige to them. So we will talk about this later, but the recent trend is more and more Chinese consumers consume Australian wines as personal consumption, or they even send it to as a gift to their relatives, friends, not as business. So the feedback from the relatives and the friends is really important to them, and the package, of course, is one of the important factors.
I think here what we can see is Chinese consumers' perception of what we are good at and what we are weak at as well. For example, Australian wine obviously is very, very competitive in terms of our taste and smell, but we are not as strong in the design and packaging, and also in branding as well. So that gives us a little bit information on what we need to work on and improve.
Thank you, Sarah. So I think Sarah already covered the next two factors. Is about a trusted brand and the pure and the refreshingness of the wine itself. Yeah. So the next slide, we will split the Chinese wine consumers into 6 characters, and we will go through them one by one, and we will see what opportunity arising from analyzing these categories. So I would like to start with category Frigo occasionals. So these Chinese consumers is on the top right. Yeah, now they are roughly 50% of the wine consumers in China. So they 15%. Yeah. So they don't drink red wine quite frequently, and they normally drink red wine to celebrate festivals. Price is the most important factor when they make their purchase decisions about imported Australian wines. So in this sector, price, I think it's the most factor if you wanted to tap into this market. Yeah.
But I would say this is not our target market segment. They're basically consumers of local Chinese wine like the Great Wall, the brand like the Great Wall and Jiangyu, rather than Australian wine or French wine.
Yeah, thank you. And the next sector is health seekers. So this sector is also very sensitive to the price, and they have limited knowledge of red wine. So they drink red wine as they believe is good for their health. So I think that this sector might not be appropriate for Australian wine, because normally local Chinese wines or some not so expensive wines from other countries, they might already in this sector.
Yeah, and I think this sector is quite interesting. It is not a major target currently. It's not a major sector for Australian wine, but it could be one of the market segments that we can work on. It's not health seekers are looking for kind of value for money. Not that necessarily it's more expensive, because they drink wine for health purpose, not for the taste or brand or whatever. So if you have a wine which is more kind of at a okay average or below average pricing for imported wine sector, but if you use health as a key selling point of your wine, and then that can really attract this market segment.
Put it on. Yeah. So the next category, it's very interesting. I think it's social newbies. So we're talking about the younger generations. So they started to know and try red wines. They enjoy drinking red wine and believe it is a culture of drinking red wine in social activities. So they care they have limited knowledge about the brands and about the regions such as South Australia, Victoria, and even New South Wales, Hunter Valley, but also they start getting used to drinking wines in social activities, and they are willing to pay premium on these imported Australian wines. I think that could be one of the major sectors we will be working on. Yeah.
So this sector actually, you got a kind of a mix of people. Lots of them are actually young professionals, and they're not sophisticated drinkers, wine drinkers. They either drink wine because it is kind of like fashion. Currently, it's the trend. It shows their sophistication and their class and taste and social status. So that is one of type people. But also when we talk about their preference, they usually prefer a little bit sweeter and a little bit kind of fruity taste of wine, which suits Chinese palates better. So if you target this segment, then you need to probably work on the branding and the packaging and also the taste to cater to the needs of this market segment.
The next category is about the adventurous drinkers. So they spend a lot of money on red wines and drink red wines frequently. So they are confident on their knowledge of red wines and drink red wines from different areas, such as wine from South Australia and wines from Victoria and wines from New South Wales. So they are aware of different wine production regions in Australia, and they understand the difference between different red wines. So even about the warm climate wines and the cool climate wines. So for this sector, I think quality and the taste and basically all the premium factors added together will help you to really build up your brand awareness and tap into this sector, because these people, they have deep knowledge of the red wines, and they know basically exactly what they are drinking and what the prices they are paying for. So next category is about the prestige thinking. So it's a high consumption, and they are high consumption and conservative consumers. They love French red wines and choose imported overseas red wines for its symbolism of prestige social status. So which means simply as the more expensive, the better. So they are thinking of the price and the symbolism instead of the actual taste or like a quality or even the smell of the wines. So for such a sector, brand is definitely the key. So for you to tap into this market. So we were talking about really premium wines. Yeah. The next category is about the developing drinkers. So they love the taste of red wines. Drinking red wine gradually becomes their habit. So they are more and more interested in red wines and treat drinking red wines as an important part of their life. So for such sector, they are willing to pay a premium on imported wines comparing to local Chinese wine, and because they are frequent drinkers, so they're more looking at more wider Australian wines. So price is not, they're not a very sensitive price, but the price is also an important factor when they consider imported Australian wines.
Yeah. I would say this sector is more kind of seeking, exactly as you said, they're not that price sensitive, but also they don't buy a wine just because it's expensive, it is a huge brand. They also want something value for money, and they are also exploring all types of wines. So the developing drinker, they're kind of like trying all types of wines, but depending on the occasion. I think this pie chart actually shows us the biggest market segments. As you can see, social night newbies are number one, which contribute 24% of the market segment, and then next to it is developing drinkers and prestige consumers who seek traditionals. So each of these key market segment value what the value is a little bit different. Social newbies definitely they prefer some a little bit sweety, fruity wine. Flavors are very important, but the packaging, because they're social newbies, lots of them they probably won't afford the most expensive unless when they at such an occasion they want to show their prestige, but usually the packaging is also important for this sector, or developing drinkers, value for money, but also branding is very important at the initial stage when they don't know much about all brands and they're trying. So the marketing is very important for this sector. Prestige drinkers, of course, branding quality, that is a very much more, I would say, a more sophisticated market segment.
So now we're looking at the 3 most influential imported wine brands in Chinese market. So one is Lafayette from France, and the second is Yellowtail, which is a Casella family brands in Australia, and then Penfolds, of course. That I think everyone pretty much familiar with that brand. That's Treasury Wine Estate in Australia. Yeah. So then I would like to hand over to my colleague Sarah to further discuss about the emerging challenges in wine industry in China.
Thank you, Mike. That was a really good summary of the kind of current China market. There are some emerging challenges for Australian wine exporters. The first is with the anti-corruption campaign in the past couple of years, the corporate gift market is pretty much gone. So which is affecting the high-end market. But I'll show you later, like actually that market is not, the high-end market is not gone, actually it's fast-growing sector, but other people are consuming this. But just corporate gift market is gone, that poses challenges for the wine exporters who used to target this sector. And the second one is we have seen more and more Chinese investors in the wine sector. They come to buy wineries and then they leverage their channels in China. They may or may not be established wine distributors in China. But with Australian, for example, the migration policies, lots of investment migrants come to Australia to meet their visa requirement and or permanent residency requirement. They need to export certain value of products to China. So then they buy wineries, they have investment, then they export to China to meet the requirement. So we have seen lots of such investors. So, and then that is creating some competition when people are buying and then they have their own wineries and they export to China, and then they are not established distributors, and they kind of like mess the market a little bit sometimes, but not all of them. Some of them are actually quite capable distributors. So it's a mixed picture. Value chain is getting shorter. As you can see, the traditional channel is we have the wineries, which may export directly, or you export through trading companies. Nowadays, more like you export directly. And then you have the importers who may be the distributor as well, and then wholesaler and retailers. Yeah, well, this value chain actually has been getting shorter and shorter. So here in Australia, wineries need to export directly to be more competitive in terms of pricing. In China, you can hardly see someone who just focus on import. Usually the distributors handle the import, or they use the import agency to just do the import procedure for them. Well, distributors also distribute to retailers directly in their local region, or even their retailers. Or in other regions, they may sell to sub-wholesalers or distributors. So the value chain is getting shorter compared with the traditional value chain, which means the price is getting a bit more competitive. So that is another challenge. Another challenge is Chinese consumers are becoming more and more sophisticated. They don't buy just because it's a big brand. Still some people still buy it, but you see less and less people buy or pay a premium price just because it's a big brand or just because packaging is really great. They do research. They are developing their taste and knowledge for wine. So that means you really need to work on your products and tick pretty much every box. The quality, pricing, packaging, marketing, channel to be competitive in the market. But challenges also mean opportunity. Let's see how we can convert these challenges into opportunity. Let's go back to the corporate gift market. That market is gone, but actually the $200 and above this kind of wines market segment grew really, really fast in China. We will show it in my next slide. That market grew by over 67% last year. So even the corporate market is gone, and there's still people buying it. And who are buying it? They're the family consumers and individuals. They buy as gift to their friends and relatives, or they are buying it for special occasion for the family. So that means you just need to switch to a new market segment, from corporate gift market to individual gift market and individual consumers. Chinese investment in wineries does pose a challenge for some wineries when these Chinese investors also export directly and they have their own retail shops. But consider this way, you may even partner with a Chinese investor, but not any investor, but a Chinese investor who has a capability to distribute your wine in China. So you can leverage their channels and their commitment to your business because they partially own the business. So you may still remain as a major shareholder of the company and manage a day-to-day operation while your Chinese partner and investor handle the market in China. And also with their partial investment in your business, they meet the requirement to get a permanent residency, etc. So this is China to leverage Chinese investors. The value chain is getting shorter. That means this sector is building a higher entry barrier for wineries. But it is a good news for those serious and capable exporters and wineries. When you have the resources to really go to China market, do the research, build connections with capable distributors, and especially distributors who have retail chains to sell to retail wine directly. And also you may spend time to work with retail chains, but those retail chains and established distributors are quite picky. So that means this trend means good opportunity for established wineries. The fourth challenge is the sophistication of the consumers. That means you can't be just a generalist and try to sell to everyone and try to cater to the needs of everybody. Usually the winners take all in a specific niche market. That means you have to be a leading player for a specific market segment. For example, if you are targeting the young professionals who drink at parties, then you really need to work on the branding and the design of the package of your wine. And if you really stand out in this space, well, you will take that market. And if you are looking for the family sector and for special occasions, for example, weddings, family reunions, and then 1.5 liter wine might be the product that you need to focus on, and then have the proper packaging to suit those occasions. So that means you just need to really focus on the specific niche market and tailor your packaging, the size of the product, and branding and marketing for that specific market segment. As you can see from this is actually Australia's wine export and wine export to China. So last year, Australia exported more than $2 billion of wine, and that was a 15% growth from the year before last. But in contrast, our wine export to China grew by 63%. So China market definitely is the most fast-growing market for Australian wine. It definitely outperforms other overseas market. If you look at the percentage, 15% versus 63%. And I think more interesting is are the two charts on the left bottom side and the right bottom side, the pricing. The sector which has had the highest growth was $200 and above wine, which grew by 67% in China last year. This is the Australian wine export to China. The value is not, the value actually is still quite attractive $54 million. And then with fast-growing sector, this is something probably the high-end wineries need to look at. The next fast-growing sector is the $30 to $50 pricing wine. They enjoyed 52%. Sorry, this is the second one is the $20 to $30 sector. They enjoyed 60% growth last year, and after that was the $30 to $50 one, which enjoyed a 52% growth in the last year. So as you can see, the pricing of Austrian wine is not a challenge. Actually, it's not a barrier in China market, and actually the high-end segment was growing much faster than the low-end market segment. And also Shiraz Cab Sauv grew really fast. This segment enjoyed a 57% growth last year and reached a $187 million value, export value last year. The largest segment is still Shiraz, but its growth was 18%. It was pretty good. Cab Sauvignon enjoyed a 20% growth with a market value of $341 million. So those are the fast-growing sectors and with big market value. Also, there are some other emerging trends that I would like to share with you. On this slide, as Mike mentioned earlier, some young people would like to go to parties, and then plus the social newbies, they are becoming a fast-growing sector. And the interesting thing is these people actually, they are switching from drinking strong liquor, the spirit and beer, to white wine. Because white wine, for them, one reason is health-driven. The other one, it shows it's quite fashionable. It shows the taste and sophistication. So that is really the key drivers for this market segment. Imported wine tasting becomes a party culture. Again, this is also driven by the sophistication of Chinese consumers and the aspiration for health and the taste and the class. Flavor is a key factor in the purchase. Rich, fruity, and low tannin for the mass market. So as you probably remember, like 24% of Chinese wine drinkers are social newbies, and also 90% are developing drinkers. So these people view flavor as a very, very important part of in their decision making. And also remember earlier Mike talked about Chinese consumers' perception of Austrian wine. How many? I think over 20%. Over 20%. All right, 27% actually viewed Australian wine as a wine with good taste, and 20% viewed Australian wine had really nice smell. So flavor is very important in decision making. Sparkling wine and aromatic white wines have a great market potential. Even the Chinese consumer are drinking lots of white wine, but they have come to the stage they want to diversify the wine they drink. So they are coming to this space, they're drinking more sparkling wines, etc., for parties and social occasions. I think in China market, you don't just need to worry about market share, because market is really growing. As long as you can maintain your market share in each market in China, you will improve your export value to China. The reason is China market has been fast growing, as we showed before, like 63% growth to China last year. And the reason is the currently Chinese wine consumption per capita is still pretty low. There's still huge room and potential for growth. Currently, for example, France is the world's largest, highest per capita consumption of white wine, with a per capita consumption of 42 liters, about 57 bottles. US is 9 liters, about 12 bottles, while Chinese consumers only consumes 1.2 liters of wine per year, which is far lower than the global right wine per capita consumption of 3.3 liters. So there's still huge room for Chinese consumers to improve or to increase their consumption value. So it's a fast-growing market segment. As you can see, Chinese market is a fast-growing and very diverse, dynamic market. It means lots of opportunities for Australian companies. You can be a niche player and to offer fruity flavored wine, or to the social newbies and developing drinkers, or very sophisticated wine, to adventurous drinkers or the prestigious drinkers who seek more traditional brands and more sophisticated wine. And also, we talk about Chinese family consumption, 1.5 liter for family occasions, or even for business functions. And also 187 ml bottle for parties and picnics for the social newbies. Value for money wine for family consumptions and individual gifting, especially for family consumption. So these are the opportunities that Australian companies need to study a little bit further, and you can talk to my team about how to further develop the products for China market. But we see definitely all these other I would say key opportunities for Australian winemakers. Thank you, Mike.
We have seen some emerging models in Chinese wine market, and of course, number one is online distribution channel. So according to the data, in the first half of the year 2018, 40% of China's imported wine consumers bought wine through the internet, which is, I think, very different from Australia wine's perception, because generally here we just buy the wines from the local liquor shop. So under the dual driving of low prices and a strong promotion, e-commerce has become a key channel for China's wine trade. And following by the second channel is a high-end department stores. So these high-end department stores or supermarket or convenience stores are located in either the high-end residential areas or at the basement of the high-end commercial buildings. So they're basically focused on imported food and beverage and wines only. So of course the price, the premium price, and all these are for the middle and upper class Chinese consumers. So the third channel is about the banks, airlines, and the clubs. So for example, for the banks, it's about the credit. Those people who has a credit card, so they can buy the imported wines from banks' website. So that's really a good promotion channel. As you know, like a China Bank, they have a huge or broad coverage in China. So basically, the 4 banks in China covered more than 99% Chinese people. Yeah. And regarding the airlines?
Yeah, the airlines present 2 opportunities. Definitely one is the in-flight sector, which is obvious. And the second, as you understand, here in Australia we have frequent flyer program. Same with China Airlines. They all have frequent flyer program. And then frequent flyers can use their points to purchase from airlines online shops. So that is another sector which Australian companies, I haven't noticed any company really work in this sector. So that is something we need to work on. And that sector is pretty strong and pretty much currently dominated by Chinese local wine and French wine.
So regarding the online sales channel, we would like to share some insights. Currently, 3 major e-commerce platforms dominate this sector. So among them, Walmart has contracted 35% of the online wine sales. Jingdong has a 42% share of wine consumers, surpassing the proportion of Walmart's 35 wine consumers for the first time. At the same time, as the main competitor of Jingdong's online business, Tmall consumes 33% of its wine, and the proportion is among the top 3. Also, as you can see, Walmart is actually not dominated other food and beverage sectors. So actually, Jingdong and Tmall basically dominates more than 80% of Chinese people's online shopping. Yeah. So this is kind of, but regarding the one sector, Walmart is not doing bad, and that's they're focusing on. And I would like to hand over the next slide to my colleague Nick, who will introduce our One Export to China program.
Hi all, my name is Nicholas Linsley. I am the Program Coordinator for the Export Growth China Department. We break down our program into a number of different industry segments. So being the subject of this webinar is wine, I want to talk a little bit about our Wine Export to China program. So firstly, I wanted to mention Australian Made, who I'm sure you all know from the little yellow kangaroo. So they're a program supporter for us. They work with us on branding products as Australian in China. As you can imagine, having that authenticity is a hugely important factor to being seen as a legitimate product in the market. As you can see on the screen here, we have a little bit of research from the Australian Made group, who have sort of gone out and done some research with the consumers to see how the perception of the logo changed in China versus Australia. And what they got was actually really positive results. For example, people made the connection that it was an Australian product immediately because kangaroos are Australian as you can get. They also connected the logo with a clean, green, how would you describe it? A very eco-friendly ethos with the product, regardless of what the product was, which is interesting, but also incredibly useful because the popular national brand story when it comes to Australia as a whole entity in China is that we are a very clean, green, environmental country. And then just to finish off, it is seen as quite a pleasing image, which never hurts. So as I said, they're one of our program supporters. They work with us, and if you don't already have details to work with them, please get in contact with us and we can connect you up. So onto the program itself. So our program consists of 3 major components. I'll go from the bottom up. So firstly is our showroom display. We have a showroom, you'd call it sort of an exhibition hall for retail products, in a place called Shanghai Mart, which is an international trade mart where retailers, distributors and various businesses can go to find products and start to make connections with those products. So our showroom has hosts showcases where we invite in buyers from our network. We discuss with them various products and display those products. We also have one-on-one business meetings with clients to go in more in depth about those sort of promotions that we're running. Next, we do our online and social media promotion. This consists of 2 parts. For online, we run a website, the Australian Business Chamber's Chinese website. That website has, that website is a translation of the materials given to us by our clients and is used for both a general marketing purpose and for legitimizing the products in China. The more of a digital footprint you have, the more you're seen as being a legitimate company and something worth looking into. So that's simply the product description, some brief description of the company itself, and just used for reference and for promotion. We then also promote through WeChat. WeChat is the single largest social media in China, has something in the vicinity of 800 million active users a month, and I think about 1 billion active users generally. And through WeChat, it acts as a Swiss Army knife, I guess you could call it, where it has a bit of all of the standard Western social medias tied in together. We do articles on WeChat that are grouped or themed articles that we run once a month that have a number of our clients in there together. As an example of a theme, we might do something like, what do Australians like to drink to cool off in the summer? And then we promote a couple of brands through those sort of themes. Finally, we also do take our show on the road. We go to trade shows out around China. A lot of them are in Shanghai, but we also do shows in other cities depending on when they are on. So those shows range from general product shows where we will show off all of our clients through to product-specific or industry-specific shows like Pro Wine, where we take just our wine companies. So I just want to show you now a timeline of what our program will look like over the next year, as it does run for 12 months. So fairly simple timeline, and I'll talk through it very briefly just to give you an example of what a year with us looks like. So in January, to take the edge off the fact that we have holidays here in Australia, we don't run promotional events so that we're not pressuring people to jump right in. Instead, we spend that month preparing marketing materials with you, so getting your information, getting that translated, and also getting physical samples over to China to be displayed in our showroom and eventually used for the road shows, the trade shows. Next, we have our first event, which is in February, taking part as part of the Chinese New Year celebrations. Good way to promote ourselves conveniently as underneath a sort of holiday atmosphere. Following that in March, we have our first exhibition, which is the China Food and Drink Fair. This really kicks off the year for a lot of Chinese retailers, distributors and importers. It's the first place they go to look for new products and new brands, and it can really set the tone for what's to come for the following year. I'll skip over the other showcases, but suffice to say we have showcases running consistently throughout the year, which are where we invite buyers in, as I said. So in May we have CIAL, which is I actually don't know what that abbreviation stands for, but CIAL is a general food and beverage exhibition. Again, like Food and Drink Fair, has a number of buyers and retailers coming through. The difference here and the advantage of these kind of trade shows is that you have several thousand people seeing your products at a time as opposed to 50 or 100 at one of our showcases, so they're very useful. In August you'll see we have what's called a wine tasting and business matching event. So this is preceded by 2 showcases in June and July. The wine tasting and business matching is essentially the same as those showcases, but it focuses only on our wine clients. So we invite in only wine buyers, we spend a lot more time with them, and we do tastings and generally run them through what's on our shelves at the time. Next, in October, we have a second food and drink fair. So the China food and drink fairs are seasonal, and that is the autumn one. The spring one is the one in March. Same sort of thing again. For people who are at that 6-month sort of gap in what they're looking for to follow them through into autumn and winter and early spring, that's the place they go. And finally, in November, you can see we're pretty chock-a-block. We start off with Pro Wine. As I mentioned, that's an industry-specific trade show. So again, lots of eyes on products and a couple of days to promote, followed by a couple of business matching and wine tasting events which actually bookend that show. So we tend to do them in that same period so that we can have a number of days where we're productively meeting and demonstrating the products all at once within that specific theme. Finally, just down the very bottom, you'll see a China International Import Exhibition. This is a relatively new exhibition that is a generalist trade one, but we have high hopes to see what will come out of that and what interest we will get. At the moment, we're not sure, but it looks like a positive one as it has a lot of backing from the Chinese government. So that's just a brief overview of what our program is. Obviously, there's more moving parts to it, and there's more that goes on, but that's something that you'll have to come and talk to us to find out about.
In summary, probably to summarize this, the program is a brand promotion endorsement program plus a contact generating program. 12-month program delivered by our team in Sydney, but also the team on the ground in China. It covers 5 expos. As you can see, it covers all the leading food and bev and wine expos in China. 5 expos, so plus 7 business matching events, plus whole year-round social media and showroom promotion and marketing. So it is a very, very comprehensive and intensive program.
So as you can see, I maybe should have given you a contents page for that up front, but Sarah's just done that. So now I'd like you to just have a look at this video from one of our participants who's had some success with us. So if you just want to sit back and watch, we'll let you go.
Australian products, particularly our food and wine, are highly sought after in China, and with a backyard like this, it's easy to see why. But businesses are throwing away $40 billion a year in lost opportunity simply because many think exporting to China is too hard. So today we want to show you how easy it can be. We've come to the Hunter Valley to meet a winemaker who's cracked the market through the New South Wales Business Chamber's Export Growth China program.
Yeah, we're standing in the Chardonnay vineyard on the Broken Back vineyard growing season. We will be harvesting these grapes in around about January, February in 2018.
Mark Woods is the senior winemaker at Leogate Wines. He's seen the winery through 12 vintages and has been in the industry for 20 years. Initially a brewer, his love for wine developed over many evenings with his father, who enjoyed a good drop from his cellar. So what's in this barrel?
Yeah, this is our current vintage, 2017 Broken Back Vineyard Shiraz. We harvested the Shiraz in early February this year, and it's now been maturing in the barrel for approximately 7 months.
Shiraz is a favourite of the Chinese, and Leogate's owners Bill Whiddon and his wife Vicky saw it as their ticket into China.
Oh, this does look good. Very intense colour.
2 years ago, the pair was looking to expand the business, and with Australia's newly signed free trade agreement with China, they saw an opportunity. But they knew there would be challenges.
We didn't have a first port of call, and that's the prime difficulty. Like, it's pointless arriving by aircraft in Shanghai with a couple of bottles of wine under your wing and looking around for markets.
The New South Wales Business Chamber became their first port of call. They signed with the Export Growth China program, and within months their wines were on show in the Shanghai showroom.
It was because of the unknown factor of entering a new market. We tend to understand the Australian market because we've been doing it for such a long time, but to go into an unknown market, it was very exciting and obviously challenging.
Export Growth China has helped almost 200 Australian businesses sell their products in China.
The Chinese market can be very scary, can be very complicated, and has many layers to the export journey. Export Growth China is very much a highly supported, almost hand-holding service. We don't just go into China, find you the buyer and leave you there. We literally are beside you throughout the entire export journey, ensuring that the opportunity is genuine for you, that the sale will proceed. We help you to negotiate that sale through to export, and we help you through the physical exporting journey as well.
Leogate's first container load of wines was shipped off to China in March 2016. Since then, they've exported another 5, and there's more orders on the way.
It's nice to think that someone likes what you do, to start with. Like anything that you create or you make, grow or design, you hope that there's a market and that people like what you've done. And so far, it's been
at exporting into the Chinese market.
it doesn't happen overnight. You do need help. You desperately need help. It's China is enormous. You can't go over there and just set up a shop and think it's going to happen. It's not going to.
For more information, visit exportgrowth.com.au. or speak with the team on the EGC hotline 1800 505 529.
Okay, this concludes our presentation today. As you can see, Export Growth on behalf of all the chambers in partnership with Chinese government, it has worked with over 200 companies in the past 2 years and helped them in China market successfully. So if you need more information, but also if you need more information about China market in general, please don't hesitate to contact me or my colleague Mike, we will work with you hand in hand on China market. And also Nick and my team in Sydney and Shanghai will work as your team to assist you succeed in China. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for showing your interest in China market. We look forward to working with you.